Hello and welcome to Nurgle's campaign mechanics. I am so excited for this. This is like, I've been excited for Nurgle. Papa Nurgle, let's go. So first off, we are looking at Death and Rebirth. His buildings for his settlements are very different from other people's, and they mention that. So instead of us building buildings like we normally do, like build the first tier, then the second tier, then the third tier, Nurgle's buildings work in sort of like a clock rotation. The only thing you actually quote unquote build is this very first building here, which acts as a main tree. So, um, best thing I could say from this is it will begin basically you choose a building slot. You chose the House of Rancid Aloe, which is one of these buildings. I don't know which one, but it will begin to pollinate. It'll take like a few turns to build it, and then after that it will begin to pollinate, and then 4 turns later it will enter the germination phase. This will increase income of the building and generates and adds a unit of Forsaken to your pool. Another 4 turns, another boost in your income, and it's time to spawn of Nurgle. Now you may be wondering, what do you mean by it adds another unit of Forsaken to your pool? Well, Nurgle's a little different. It takes 1 turn for him to... Actually, I don't even think it takes 1 turn. It instantly spawns his units. Yet at a less powerful, in the sense they are injured and you have to heal them up. As you can see here, he probably spawned a couple of these guys and they need a heal up. I wish they showed us like where in game we're gonna see how low we get if we're at 50% and all that. I'm pretty sure Nurgle is going to be very good at replenishment, because they say there is a couple of where is it? There's a couple of technologies that increase your casualty replenishment. I don't know where it might be here. Yes, down here somewhere. But as you approach the late game, you'll be able to fulfill armies at alarming rate. So imagine Tomb Kings, but on steroids a little bit. You still have to pay for them, but your buildings work in a clock formation, so every 5 turns, I think initially, it will take 5 turns for it to go to here, 5 turns to go here, 5 turns to go here, 5 turns to go back, and then it keeps on going. That means you're probably going to have fluctuating income, which I'm not sure if I like or not, but we will have to see. Over here we see a building, maybe it's that building, or actually it might be this building right here, which is Carnivorous Compost Feeding. He generates 30 income, -1 for basic military buildings, cycle time, so if it's 5 turns it goes down to 4 turns, and -5 attrition while under siege, blah, 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 blah. Now, at first when I read this, I thought this was going to be a major stick. Because it's like, the way they described it first is like, hey, it goes to cycles. And I'm like, well, how are you going to be able to recruit like your best units if you're stuck for 10 or so turns with the lowest unit? No, that's not how it works. It works where if it goes here, you gain a unit of that. Then you gain a unit of that. So then you can have 2 of these guys. And then you can have that guy. And then this guy. And then it keeps on going in a cycle. Keep on going. Like a clock. And you can do technologies to lower that, which is really good. And the way I got this is, 1, you see this number up here. And also... by this entire paragraph where what I read initially, it adds another unit of Forsaken to your pool, meaning we get a pool. That means forever This guy has 19 Exalted Plague Bearers of Nurgle to be able to be summoned. Now the question is whether or not he's able to field that many with the money he has. And this kind of like goes like, yes, easy, no problem, that can be managed. And it sounds really good. So you can easily recruit anyone from neutral or friendly terror from the global pool. And it's just is it. Because like here, they say rather than waiting several turns, you summon directly an army raring to go. So instantly, boom, there, let's go. Which is super strong. And the way Nurgle works makes sense. Now let's go over plagues and infections. Plagues and infections are very interesting. We're going to start off with what are the base plagues. You get to build your plagues like, I forget what his name is. Paunch. Paunch is food. But this you get only like 3 picks. You can choose base plague, which is these, and then up to 2 additionary systems. Now these plagues work differently than Skaven plague as we know it, because there are beneficials and negatives. As you see here, plague effects on non-Nurgle armies and plague effects on all armies. And settlements. That is only for you. So +5 infections when plagued is spread, +2 Nurgle corruption, that's just everyone. But we also get other benefits, and we'll see those with this. I just want real quick want to check. That is called what? Augie. Okay. So Augie's a mostly negative one. Okay. So let's start off. Pox decreases cycle time for friendly buildings and increases growth for friendly settlements. Now, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the the plague you're going to probably be doing most of the time, as it is going to be the most beneficial. Then we get Bubos, which reduces casualty replenishment rates and increases attrition while under siege within enemy settlements. This is really good if you're sieging down a settlement and you're like, I'm going to take a turn. Let them take damage so I can win this battle. We then have Og, which applies attrition to enemy armies and reduces their campaign movement range. Sounds pretty good. Rot, instead of giving infections whenever it is spread, adds a unit of Nurglings to your recruitment pool. I don't know about this one. Might be interesting, but I don't think you're going to pick this because you probably want infections. Policy, reduce melee attack of enemy armies. That sounds pretty good, especially if we end up having a high melee army. Now, let's take a look at this. There's 2 ways to spread your plague. Is summon a plague cultist, which acts like a Skaven warp engineer that can build a special undercity building, or the Plague Seer, which can just instantly spread plague. Now, instead of having to use your what is it? I forget what is the exact word is for them. It's basically you have to wait every couple of turns to summon them. I don't think there's a cooldown for this. Except for maybe summoning a Plague Cultist, which looks like it takes 1 turn for it to come back around. So you can't summon multiple Plague Cultists. Plague Cultists can only infect enemy armies or neutral armies. That is the way to get to do, in a sense, the negative base effects. So if you want to do Bubos, Og, or Palsy, that's the way you're going to use it. Which means it costs 100 plagues, or 100 infections. Yeah, 100 infections. Or you could select a friendly army or friendly settlement and it will reduce it by 50%, which means 50, you pay 50 instead of 100. Now, it looks like all symptoms, which is the add-ons, might be 50 infections, because here's one that's already selected, and that is, you're already at 150, so I'm guessing that minus 100 is going to be 50. That's 50. Or it's the first two rolls are 50 and the next two rolls are 100. Now, to unlock more symptoms, you need to do certain plagues with certain things. And then you get bonuses, which I think are these that show. Or to unlock some of these symptoms. Also, some of these symptoms, as you can see, are research-based. So, that is the Plague Cauldron. It seems really cool and really amazing, but that seems like a carry so much, because, like I said, you'd probably be doing pox a lot for your first few settlements so that you get this going and you become powerful. Now, unholy manifestations and cults. So, let's just go over the manifestations. This is real quick. Pestilent Growth, which is unlocked from the start, gives army 20% replenishment rate for 2 turns while disabling their campaign movement. This is really good if you're recruiting a fresh army. This is probably one of the best, and thank you for this wording, that actually it's for 2 turns, and it also disables their campaign movement, because the other ones haven't been that clear. But this is really good early game. Like, you're building an army, just throw that on someone. Really good. And it looks like it's about 15 turns, maybe, before you get it back. Honestly, that sounds so good. Blessing of Nurgle. Requires 1,000 global Nurgle corruption. Increase the chance of plague spreading in a local province by 30% for 3 turns, but disables campaign movement. So that sounds like you target your own army and you do that. So, alright. Exponential growth. Requires 2,000 global Nurgle corruption. Increases growth in local province by 200. And decreases recruitment cost by 20% for the target army for 3 turns. Sounds really good! Nurgle Visitation. 3,000 Nurgle corruption. After 3 turns, gives a random plague to every army and settlement in the same province as target army. Disables campaign movement for the army while it charges. That sounds really good. Only problem is it takes 3 turns for it to charge up. So that's an interesting thing. So that's the Unholy Manifestations. Now, you'd be like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound bad. I mean, yeah. But, and if you're saying like some of these are like too weak, hold up. There's a thing added on to this. I'm not sure. It's right here. There's to note, spreading corruption is far easier and quicker for Nurgle factions over other Chaos factions, because plagues naturally spread corruption and can be upgraded to spread more. And various characters and buildings have big boosts to spreading it as well. This means quicker manifestations, unlocks, and more cults globally. Meaning, ooh, watch out. Nurgle's coming. Now, for the cults, Shelter is your basic 25 infections per turn, whoopie-doo. Refuge gives 40 infections per turn if growth of the region is at 200 or more. Honestly, I feel like Refuge, you don't build the Refuge. Just because it seems not worth it. Meanwhile, you could have a Hospice, gives 40 infections per turn if any Lord is present. That sounds a lot better. over a shelter, but you're probably gonna go shelter. And here's the last one. Colony. Gives a random plague to the settlement but destroys the cults. I don't know how I feel about that. Depending on how cults work, like if you just get it based on how much corruption you have there, and so like you blow it up and then instantly next turn there's another cult, yeah, I say this is good, because you're just throwing plagues out, getting more corruption, meaning you are getting these faster, which you probably want to go for exponential growth really fast. You probably want to go for exponential growth, because that 200 extra growth and minus 20% recruitment costs, yeah, that's worth. Now let's talk about the tech tree. Nurgle's tech tree is similar to Crowhorn's, blah 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 blah. Basically, it's just a tech tree. The only interesting thing that they mention is that there's several techs to add spells to Great Unclean Ones, making them a powerful casters as well as oozing piles of rot. On that note of spells and magical abilities, Nurgle has access to various army abilities. These are unlocked through technology and are charged in battle based on how much damage your units are taking. I don't know how I feel about that. That his army abilities are based on how much his units are taking, unless they got natural regen. If they have natural regen, I'll be alright with this. But otherwise, they're not going to get those abilities. Each has the chain property, meaning if the target of a specific unit will spread to nearby units rather than a target area. Sounds good. This could be powerful or a drawback depending on how you use it, but certainly fits the theme of Contagious. Yep, I like that. That's cool. I didn't read this part actually. Depending on the strength of various techs, moving between each pod can make a significantly different amount of time depending on which tech you go for. Experiment. Oh. Experiment! That's what Nurgle's about. So let's look at this. I haven't really... Oh, okay. Plague Sight. Plague Sight grants line of sight when plague gets spread. That is good. That is very good. It's because you're throwing plagues out everywhere. You got freaking view and everything. But I do have to know, at 100%, some of these things are 3 and 2 turns, and you only need 4 to go to more 2 to 3 turns. Like, what the frick? That sounds very good and very nice. I don't know how long these will take, but guessing how these look, they probably take 3 turns. This takes 2 turns. These two take 2 turns. This takes 3 turns. I mean, Nurgle's got a lot of carrots. Now it's solely based on his army. How's his army? How's his units? We get to see some of the units here, and we saw some of them during the combat, but how are the actual units? Like, I want to know, how are their actual abilities? How do they work? Because if Nurgle is based on, which I expected, basically having abilities on his people, yeah, I want to know what those are. Alright, this has been me on the Nurgle campaign effects, and honestly, these are nice carrots. I like these carrots. We have to see about the units, though. Those could be the stick. Yep. This has been me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.